in the call.
Okay. No, because she's muted. Normally she.
Jayashree, you are there, no? She talked to me earlier.
Yes, ma'am. I am here.
So, today is our 29th class, actually. So, 29th classes we have done over a period of 1.5 years. And the topic today is really nice, the ego and the liberation and the enlightenment. So, that is something really interesting. So, with the blessings of Guruji and the way he has talked and he has discussed there is really nice. Though it is each of the video is just 4 minutes, but there is a lot to take and understand and imbibe what has been told there. So let us offer our prayers to Guruji and then do the prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Akhanda Mandalakaram, Vyaptam Yena Characharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambha, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Narayana Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Okay. This we always have heard that we will have to drop our ego to be enlightened. So ego is the obstacle for us to get enlightened is what we have already, we always know that, and that is what we are not able to control, or maybe we are in that ego. So the understanding of ego is a little different here. In these two talks, that is talk 36 and talk 37, the understanding is totally different here. So, since you would have gone through this talk on ego,
Kanti Gayatri, someone has joined.
I have sent the link to her. She has joined.
Who's Gayatri?
Gayatri ji.
Oh, how come?
She wanted to join.
Oh, okay.
So the topic itself is totally giving a different perspective. That is nothing but ego is a protective mechanism. This was not known for the past, maybe I did not know it. This is something that is really new when I heard that ego is a protective mechanism. So what is that ego and what does that ego protect? What will it protect? Jayashree ji, can you please answer for that?
Ego is a protective mechanism which helps us to survive. And from the childhood to the liberation that we desire for, it helps us in the journey, and slowly that ego diminishes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Ego gets, and it helps us to see the self-realization.
What does it protect? ಮೇಡಮ್ ನೀವು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪಕ್ಕ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಈಗ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲ, ವಿತೌಟ್ ego, I think we cannot grow in our life. From the childhood to until we are liberated,
Hmm.
it helps us to keep our reactive mechanism and also memories. And in all these things, we need ego.
Hmm.
Otherwise, ಒಂದು stagnant ಆಗಿ ಉಳಿದು ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ, I think.
Hmm?
We get stagnated, I mean, without any progress.
So, but basically, what does it protect? We cannot grow if at all we get stagnated, and we will not, from the birth to liberation, ego is necessary. But what does it protect actually?
It's a ownership of us.
It acts as a owner.
Owner.
It claims the ownership. Yes, correct. But it protects something. It is defensive, is what Guruji says in his talks.
It is a complex vehicle.
What does it? What is complex vehicle? Which vehicle is it protecting?
That is our body.
Correct. So it is a protective mechanism for body and mind complex, and
Yes.
it is a vehicle.
Yes, ma'am. That point I
It
think
basically protects our physical and mental identity.
Yes, mind and body.
Mind and body. So as you correctly said, if ego is absent, survival will be difficult. Like from birth to the liberation, or maybe until our last birth, we need ego for our survival, because it is a protective mechanism. Okay. So can you only add why is it a protective, maybe how is the ego in a child, so that it can be a protective mechanism later on?
Actually, the child is egoless. It has, the mind is not so mature. So to get the mind mature, the ego helps in the growing process. Slowly the ego overtakes, and we that from the childhood, adulthood, and then liberation stage we get, and slowly that ego converts to this functional ego.
Functional ego. Ego develops. Okay, what happens to a child if the child has no ego? If at all, even after growing old, if that particular child doesn't have the ego, what happens then?
Maybe he will not get the desired results that all humans desire for. Liberation may not be able to achieve.
Okay, that is one way of understanding, maybe. But what happens is, even if the child is hurt, or harm is done, or if it is taken away, what happens is that the child cannot protect itself. There will be no defense.
Yes, protection is not there.
So
and it may get hurt also. It will get hurt also.
Yes. So you said very well, Jayshree ji. Thanks for that. Now, Sudhaji. So, why is, or maybe is ego required? This has been covered with the ego as a ego in a child, how ego is present in a child, and what does the ego protect? All these are there in these two questions. She has answered. But is ego required? How?
Yeah.
Is it
Ego is
necessary?
required, like from like a general perspective also.
Because we are speaking of liberation and enlightenment. So we will have to drop ego. That is what we say. But is ego required? Is the understanding of what ego is better? That can you please tell?
Yeah. So in all of us, ego is there. Ego is the I-ness, and the I-ness associates with the mind, which and the intellect. Intellect is neutral, but mind comes with the likes and dislikes and notions. So we have this, that I'm a woman, or I'm rich, or I'm not so rich, or I'm intelligent, or I love to do social work, or I'm interested in making having a business. So all these notions which are there in our mind, with that this I-ness associates, and it builds a whole story for us. And if that story is actually not there, you know it's very hard for evolution to happen. There'll be no evolution. You cannot evolve. This is a journey of the soul, of the Atman, to find out who I am. Koham. From Koham, we have to arrive at Soham. For this journey to happen, for this evolution to happen, and for us to reach that Soham point, this ego is necessary. And it becomes a focal point. The sum total of all your experiences are bound to this I center. See, so many vasanas, ideas, we have so many things, all these that are tied up to this I-ness. So I feel somehow that I-ness is a focal point around which we have the sum total of all our experiences, whatever we gained so far in our evolution up to this point. So that is how I think ego is very necessary. If there is no ego, it will be like, like those government housing. Every house will look the same, right? It is ego that differentiates me from you.
So that is what needs to be achieved, right? Every house looks the same. Every person, every living being, non-living being looks the same. That is the way that we would like to, like Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. So everything is Brahman. That we would like to, that is what is liberation is understood, right?
No, but that is what Prabhuji is saying. No, so since it is a protective mechanism, it is that example that Prabhuji gives about that coconut.
Let me ask that question to Bhartiji.
Okay.
So the example of that, but without that example, can you explain?
So, though it is true that for self-realization or God-realization, ego comes in the way, it is a necessary evil. Without the ego, the journey from Koham cannot even be made. If there is no I center, there's no evolution. Like Jayashri ji saying that growth won't happen. Protection is one part. Actually, ego protection is one part. But growth is also very important. For that growth, ego is needed, and it is a necessary evil.
Yes, very well said. So both of you have covered that important thing of how ego is a protective mechanism and why it is needed. Now, Bhartiji, Hariom, and you joined a little late. Maybe we covered one question, then you joined. So, can you please give the or explain the example of coconut in relation with why ego is necessary and what happens with the coconut? I just don't want to explain more about it. You can just tell about it, Bhartiji. Are you there, Bhartiji?
Your voice is breaking, madam.
Is it happening to you,
Your voice is
Sudhaji?
breaking. Yeah, I'm there.
No,
Your voice
madam.
is breaking.
Clear.
Is it?
I'm not
Okay.
able to catch your point.
I will repeat again. Is my voice okay now?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
Yeah, please.
It's okay with us.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Guruji has explained why ego is necessary and what happens to the ego and what happens what happens when liberation happens. What is the connection between liberation and ego? So he has taken an example of coconut. So can you please explain the example? Ripe coconut falls from the tree, and when it moves to the water, he has explained that. Can you recall that?
Initially, this is required as you understand, and the more ignorance, no, I'm not able to recall that. Later, this ego will be dropped. That's what he says. Isn't it? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yes.
I'm not able to recall it.
Okay, whatever you say about this. Okay, maybe how ego is a protective mechanism, and how it is in the child, and how ego is necessary. Any of these can be answered by you. Are you able
Ego
to hear?
is necessary in the initial phases. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ego is necessary in the initial phases. So once you start understanding and you reach a stage where avidya is answered, then you will leave that and become, ego will go off. Will become from rajas tamas, you will become sattvic. That's what I heard.
So what is that ego becoming, moving from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic? What is that actually?
I'm not able to hear anything.
These are the steps of spiritual journey, right? So what you said are the steps of spiritual journey.
Correct.
So that is nothing but the ego attached to.
Correct.
So the laziness. You can explain how we are moving from tamasic and then rajasic and then sattvic, and then dropping off the sattvic ego also. That is what is liberation. Though that is what you meant actually, right? So this is what is this? The first level of ego is tamasic. The second level of ego is, that means we will not have any interest, or maybe one of you can answer. Maybe Jayashree ji can answer this.
Yes, madam. The first level is tamasic, that is, we have laziness, and the second level is rajasic, where we do activities, and the third level is sattvic, where this ego is dropped and we move towards spirituality.
So moving towards spirituality means?
That is attaining self-realization.
Okay. So what happens during the rajasic level of ego? How will a person be? Like you said, tamasic, they'll be lazy, you said. Laziness will be there. Then rajasic, what will happen? What is rajoguna?
Rajoguna means is filled with desires.
Huh.
And when spirituality grows in us or a desire builds up in our mind, sattvic gunas, we go into sattvic this level. That's all, madam.
Okay. So, Bharatiji, do you have anything to add? Because you lost the connection and yes, what you said is correct, Jayashree ji. Bharatiji, if you want, you can add to the level of ego.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, fine. So, Sudhaji, do you have anything to add to this? You're on mute.
Talking about how the ego moves from tamasic to rajasic and rajasic to sattvic. So basically, that is what is the whole spiritual journey, as Prabhuji says. And that is the transformation of the ego slowly from, tamasic, because ego first came for protection. That is why ego actually evolved. And the ego has to protect your identity. And what best way to protect you than when you just remain where you are, you're sedentary. Basically, that is what is tamasic, that you don't do anything, you don't go out of your comfort zone, so that you feel highly protected and very safe. Then somewhere the rajasic guna starts. When you have had enough of tamasic in some life, you'll feel, okay, now let me go out and do something, achieve something, experience something. So then many lives you experience the rajasic, and in that there'll be so much of heartburn, right? When you have to go out and you have these desires, wants, achievements and all, and you find that you are not having any peace of mind. Then after multiple lives of living that rajasic guna life, then the mind will start wanting to be at peace. And there I think the transformation is very crucial, literally the beginning of the spiritual journey. So Prabhuji says that the whole spiritual journey is actually a transformation of the ego until it finally dissolves.
Correct. So this is the journey. The spiritual journey is this level, because we only can understand that. See, maybe a person who is aggressive, maybe on the road, they have the road rage and all that. So if somebody touches their vehicle and goes, it happened without, maybe some accident happened. It touched the vehicle. You stop the vehicle, make the jam and make a whole mess out of it. So that is a Rajasic person. Okay, with mind is disturbed and you can do anything that you want. So it just simply moves away. And in tamasic, you don't want to do anything. You are lazy and you are just comfortable the way you are. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything for yourself also, for others also. So you're passive, totally passive, and that is active. Maybe rajasic lower level will also be there, wherein things have to be done, maybe achievement will be there and activity is there, but disturbance will be there.
Yeah.
In rajasic, and risk taking can happen. All these can happen. But from there, see, we can just see the people, we can identify who is a tamasic person, who is a rajasic person, who is a sattvic. All this we can identify. Now that we have seen so many people, we can just at least identify these gunas in the people. Maybe we will have all these gunas in ourselves. In each different situation, we can understand from others easily, but we ourselves will have all these gunas, and these are to be transcended. That is, we will have to move from a lower level to the higher level, and that transformation of ego to purity, that is Sattvika Guna, is nothing but the transformation, that is the spiritual journey, transformation of ego. So, Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvika Guna, and then you will be dropping the ego, and that is nothing but liberation. What is dropping the ego is nothing but you're one with the totality. You're one with the universe. So you will be seeing, as you said earlier, you are identifying everything as yourself. So Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, you started with that, Sudhaji, you just told that. So this is what will happen. Ego is identification of my body. So, and I am taking the ownership of all the things that I do. So the body, mind, and all are, it is for my own thing. So this identification is there. So when I drop all those, that is nothing but dropping is nothing but evolution. So moving from lower level to the higher level, that is the evolution towards liberation. So what I was earlier, what I am today, I can myself know how I would have been earlier and now how I am. So before the contact of Guruji, I would have been different. After coming through his teachings and all that, I am different. So what is that transformation that is happening? From it is nothing but all tamasic, rajasic, sattvic, everything will be there even now. But what is the intensity and which is more and which is predominantly seen for a longer time? That is evolution. So it is not dropping of the ego, means there should be no ego, as it has been very maybe truly said, and it is maybe it gives some idea that it is necessary for living. It is necessary, and it is a protective mechanism. So like how the coconut, did anybody tell the example? The coconut example? Huh? No, it got skipped. Jayashree, will you tell the example? Coconut
Yes, madam. Guruji has explained it very well. The coconut example. As the coconut, after it ripes, it falls into the river, and the outer husk is dissolved, and the inner kernel, after when it reaches the soil, the kernel gives the sapling. A coconut sapling is formed, and till the sapling is formed, it protects the kernel, and that is important, and that is the exactly what the ego does for us. In our journey. That's all, madam.
After reaching the sand, what happens? It moves through the water.
Coconut tree is formed. New coconut tree is formed.
So how will it happen?
The outer husk gets dissolved, and the kernel sprouts. And then the new coconut tree is formed.
So how can we relate this example? Okay, Bhartiji, maybe you heard the example of coconut. How very well said, Jayashree ji. You told the example very well. So this is what is the thing that is happening with a liberated person also. How he moves through the journey of spirituality. The transformation of ego is given with a very good example of coconut. So I suppose you understood, Bhartiji. I suppose you understood what Jayashree ji said.
Yes, Bhagini, I understood.
So now, can you relate that example with yourself? Say, if at all, or maybe one who is in the spiritual path. So how can you correlate that coconut example with a person in the spiritual journey? So the coconut is there, the husk is there, the kernel is there. Then it moves in the water, then it reaches the sand, it sticks there and it stays there. Then the shell is opened, or the husk is open, it automatically opens, and then a tree or the sapling is sprouted and a plant comes. Right? That is what will happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So how can we relate this to our ego journey?
First, this laziness or tamasic ego has to go. Maybe that is the outer shell. And later on, when this understanding improves, then it may go in for rajasic, like a new sprout which picks up. Then maybe the sattvic and the ego will be dropped.
So that means to say, to be a human being to divine being. So this is the journey. Human being, see, like how the coconut falls from the tree and moves through the spiritual path on in the water, and then it sticks on to something. That is nothing but the Guru Upadesha or Guru support or the knowledge, the understanding, the change in the perspective of understanding, and then he stays there. That is, the coconut will not start to sprout immediately when it is left on the sand or mud. It will take a lot of time. So that lot of time is nothing but for us. It is the Guru's grace. So Guru's grace will come, only then it will start to sprout. And then when it is sprouting, it will automatically drop all the shell, the husk, everything. So that is how the transformation of ego happens within us. That means we move from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic ego. And then when it is sprouting, it automatically happens that the sattvic ego is also dropped. That means you are growing without any ego. That is, I am not identifying myself with only the ego I in me. So the self is identified and it is growing. That means the grace or the energy is being spread everywhere. So that is the correlation between the coconut sprouting and our spiritual journey. And then the next, I suppose you got this?
Yes.
So the next question is, how will the ego be in a Gnani? If you can answer, Bhartiji. If at all, you can answer. Otherwise, I can ask somebody else.
Ego in the Gnani.
Yeah.
Anirvachaniya.
So how can, and we are all Agnanis, we have the ignorance that is covered because we are in our body consciousness, we are in the Maya, we have not come out of that. So how is the ego in a Gnani? How he identifies, does he have the ego or doesn't he have the ego? Is it necessary for the transactional purpose in the day-to-day activities of a Gnani? Or is it not necessary at all?
This will become a substratum and avidya will become nitya. That's what I jotted here. And then the Atma, realization of Atma, and then it will become one with Atma, the body, and that will be one, recognized as one.
So, what is this? Who is that person called? What is the name given to that? You are recognizing the Atma and becoming one with Atma. That is, who is becoming one with Atma?
The body, the gross body.
The gross body?
And the subtle body. Both will be one.
Huh. Okay. So then that person is called what? Is he a Gnani or who is a Gnani first?
One who identifies himself as Gnani is who is realized the soul or the Atma.
So how will his ego be? You would have seen many Gnanis, maybe you would have read, seen in the sense, maybe you would have heard their stories or the way they have led, whomever you have come through. Maybe you would have read or heard something about the person, the Gnani.
There's
How
no ego there.
there's no
There's
ego
no
there.
ego. No ego at all.
But we have talked that it is a defensive mechanism and it is necessary for our survival, is what has been told.
At a later stage, we realize that this is all not necessary. And we will, the ego will go. And once we understand this body is not mine, there's no mine at all.
So for a Gnani, there is no mine at all.
Yes.
So here what we think from our perspective, but to go and think from a Gnani's perspective, it's little difficult. How can a person not have ego? Without ego, how can he exist and operate in the world? Is something that might come up in our mind. Right?
But they would have all gone beyond all these stages.
They would have gone beyond all these stages. But whenever, yes, and realized, but whenever it is necessary, they can bring up the ego for the operational purpose only.
Okay.
Okay. So anything to be, what your understanding is completely correct. Only thing is, okay. Okay, Sudhaji, do you have anything to add to this?
No, actually, you have covered all the points, but I would just like to share what I understood from Prabhuji's talk. So, Prabhuji says that for the Jnani, the gross body and the subtle body, the identification with both these bodies disappears. So, you are called the false I, or Pratibhasika Aham in the language of Vedas. You are called the Pratibhasika Aham only so long as this I identifies with this gross body and subtle body. Once the identification is dropped, then the same I knows itself to be the Atma and becomes the Atma. And Prabhuji says also in the later part of the video that there is no difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. So the Jnani who has awakened as the Atma knows that he is not only the Atma but also knows that he is the Paramatma. And why is ego needed? Ego is needed for evolution, for this journey. Now knowing himself as the Atma and being one with the Paramatma, merging with the Paramatma, what protection he needs, what more growth he needs. There is no need for ego there for a Jnani at all. He has no need for ego. But when he comes back and he has some role to play, like, he wants to redeem all of us who are still struggling in ignorance. He wants to, help us all to come out of this ignorance. Then he may assume a particular role. And that role obviously will come with some like, I am the guru or I am the teacher or, I am going to redeem this group of people. To that extent, he'll have a functional ego. Because when we say Guruji, he has to answer to us, no. Otherwise, if he says, I am in everybody, I am in everything, I am the Paramatma, then how he can answer to our call when we say Prabhuji, Guruji? He can't answer. To be able to answer to us, he needs that functional ego.
So, very well said, Sudhaji. So, our perspective of Gnani will be different, but as Gnani, he will be different. So that we must understand. So because we are in ignorance and we are in Maya and we are working with ego, we may not be able to comprehend it exactly how we, without ego, how can we work? Because we have not come out of ego. So we are still with connection with the ego is very strong in us.
Yeah.
So that is how maybe as rightly put by Sudhaji also, being a guru, how he can remove our ignorance. He has a work to be done to make us understand that we are in Maya. So that is the work of a guru. So for that sake, he might need the ego. So only then can he help people like us and make us understand where we are. Otherwise, our prapancha is this and we are happy with this. We will not even know that we will have to come out of the ego. So we, whether it is tamasika, rajasika, sattvic, whatever it is the way we are living is the ultimate. That is how we think. So, but even to remove the ignorance, a guru has to be there and his ego will work and operate because he can help us to come out of that. So, this was the 36th talk that he has given. We have maybe 10 to 15 minutes time. So, the next topic is ego and enlightenment. So, as we have seen here, ego, he gives another term here to ego as, though it is not the real owner, it is the guardian he gives.
Guardian. Yes.
That is a defense mechanism, protective mechanism. And the third term is the guardian. See, this understanding if we have, we will not be attached to our ego. So we can use when we want, if we don't want, we will have to drop it, is something that we can move on with. So then who is the real owner of this ego? Bhartiji.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Who is the owner of this ego? Who, though ego claims that I did this, I did that, and all that. So it is me who is doing, I am a woman, I am Bharti who is doing, who is talking, who is answering. All these we know. But actually, who is the real owner? Who is the one who is taking the control of this jiva?
Atma.
Yes, Atma. But we have some work that is allotted to ego also.
Work right? Allotted to this body.
So how will it take care of it? As you said, Atma is the real owner. Atma, consciousness, Brahman, whatever you call, all are the self, everything is the same.
As long as you are doing your work and all, your ego will be continuing.
Yes.
Once you go to the spiritual path or leave in our timetable, when you want to enlighten or when you want to read scriptures and something like that, then that ego should be taken away. And ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗುರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸಿ ಓದಬೇಕು. Then you have to enlighten yourself.
Surrendering.
Surrendering, yeah.
Mhm. So surrendering is something that is necessary so that there can be some maybe purifying our chitta happens when we surrender, and we don't take the ownership. That means you are reducing the ego. So that is what
Correct.
is surrendering. That is how the surrendering will help. Correct.
Correct.
So, Guruji has correlated this with an example of an egg. Have you gone through that?
No.
Okay. Sudhaji, if you know, you can just tell how he has taken up and correlated the egg example with the ego.
Yeah, in the same way as the coconut husk, in the same way, the shell around that embryo is the guardian, is protecting until the embryo is ready to come out as a chick. Once that happens, the shell has to break. Only then the chick can come out. So it's the same way for us also. This ego is needed. But if you want enlightenment, if you want to become that infinite oneness, this ego has to dissolve and disappear.
Yes. So, ego is necessary, but ego is not necessary.
Not necessary.
So this difference here, Viveka plays a role. So where ego is necessary, where ego is not necessary, where to remind ourselves that it is ego, and where to use it as it is, as ego. So that Viveka has to come within us. So ego is as a defense protective mechanism, the shell. That is all, is something that we will have to have it strongly imprinted. So going beyond that is the Guru's grace and our sadhana will all, and our surrendering, all will come following that. Once we prepare ourselves, automatically things can happen. So whatever has to happen will happen. Nothing happens with our ego telling something to happen. It happens as it is destined. So only thing is, we will be claiming that I did this has happened like this because I told you to do this happened. All those we will be claiming. So that can be
avoided.
Yes, avoided, or we can be aware of it, that we are telling it like this, because avoiding maybe it can give a negative we cannot, we are used to that. How we can be aware of it, and it can just dissolve. So what happens, say, maybe if at all at this particular age that we are in, maybe Bhartiji, it's almost a general question. If at all we don't have ego at all, what happens to us?
If we don't have ego, what happens to us?
Yeah.
We'll also become gurus.
Gurujis. We'll also be Prabhuji only, no? We will also be Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is so nice to hear, right?
Yes.
But difficult to follow.
Very, very difficult.
So, but how will the society take us?
Just can't imagine that it is possible by us. To reach that level, is it possible in this lifetime?
Correct.
With Prabhuji's grace, it is possible. If you are able to, like Prabhuji always says,
follow is.
No, he tells one very important thing, that station yourself in that state of I, the real I. Don't identify. In many talks he says that, always remember that you are the I. if you want to eat good food, enjoy with this body, enjoy with this mind, but always come back and remember that you are the I. You know,
Even while eating, you must remember that this is nice and I am enjoying. Who is enjoying?
enjoy. Yes.
That is what Who Am I from Ramana Maharshi. What is the source? Who is enjoying that?
Yes.
It's not
Always
wrong to not to enjoy.
Yeah. Always that I-ness, if you are able to remember. Now it is only like an understanding with the mind or maybe with the intellect. And, you know, we are just practicing with all the faculties that are available to us. But sometime this understanding will just in a flash convert into experience. And that can only come with the Guru's grace. So, like Bharti ji says, is it possible? Prabhuji makes us hope that it is definitely possible if we do what he says.
Maybe you'll have to meet him personally, get his grace and blessing, and then start to listen to his talks, the live, go there and listen to the live talks. That can help to have that trust in ourselves that we can also one day be like him.
Yeah.
So maybe that maybe personal interaction is also
Makes
very
a
necessary.
lot of difference.
Lot of difference. So this is something that gives us to one level, but that personal, the energy flow between whether we can understand or not, he can give us. Because we are so ignorant that we will not even know what blessings that he would have given. So that energy will be received by us without our knowledge. So this can happen in the presence of a guru, physical presence of a guru. Here it is just that his talks are being listened and then discussed upon, which takes maybe third or fourth level of understanding. Have you met Bharti ji?
No, Bhagini, I have not met him.
Maybe the emotional healing classes are being done, workshops are being done. Anybody can go and attend the class. He is conducting weekly 2 days, different batches. Maybe Tuesdays he is doing three alternate Tuesdays Kannada, and then Saturdays English. Alternate Saturdays English.
Okay.
So you need
Only
to join
online I have joined. I only one class I have heard online.
Oh,
and
okay.
I should.
So there will be even for us who have been with him for, and Sudhaji has been in association with Guruji for longer time than what I have been. Even she feels that, and I also feel that in his presence, it is totally different. In the same thing, if we listen to at home, sitting at home online, it's totally different.
His grace and grace is important.
Yes, grace is important. That the
energy flow
is totally different. We will be so active. Maybe we would have gone so far, which is very tiring. Maybe for us, for a normal routine one, we would have gone. But after coming home, also we can do so much of work. Otherwise, if we had gone to maybe some marriage function, we will get tired and we will simply sleep. But when we come back from his house after his class and all, we will be more energetic to do.
Actually, I think in the last healing emotions class, Prabhuji asked this question. Is it like when you go to some particular temple or maybe you go to some particular environment, do you feel that you have connected very well? He was asking, and many people said yes. And then Prabhuji went on to explain. I'm just telling this for Bharti ji because, you know, it kind of explains.
To me also, I don't know.
You experience it because you come and sit with Prabhuji. So he was explaining what is that connection that you feel is that apparently your here he said that, you know, there are some neurons here. They
mirror neurons. Mirror neurons
which plug into that nervous system of that person there. And that is when you feel totally connected. And obviously, when we plug into Prabhuji's system, which is peace and which is love, which is compassion, and that is why when we sit in his presence, we are just like
silent.
Silent.
We don't remember anything.
Anything.
Nothing is remembered, nothing, no thoughts at all.
No thoughts.
We will just, if you ask question on this part, it will come out.
Come out.
And it will be sudden only. We cannot even have prepared something and to tell and nothing like that. It will
No,
be
but
sudden.
we always feel that silence. So Prabhuji explained that in terms of science, that, like just as a child, the newborn child, how he or she, how it connects with the mother, through the touch. That is because they plug into the nervous system of the parent who touches them and cares for them. In the same way, when we also go into certain environments, we just plug into that system there, and we download all that whatever is there. So that Prabhuji explained. So maybe someday, hopefully, Bharti ji will also be in Prabhuji's presence and experience it.
Yes. It's very
Hope
necessary
so,
that you just meet him and get his blessings, Bharti ji.
Sure, Bhagini. Very soon.
Yes. I think you are aware of the maybe the class, that is workshop that is being conducted, and it comes to you also, no? In the
Yes.
in the groups that they put, the common groups, the Sadhguru teachings and all that.
Yes, Bhagini.
Okay. So maybe Light of the Self group, in whichever group you are, if at all you're getting it, well and good. Otherwise, I can forward it to you, or I can help you to join one of the WhatsApp group.
Okay, Bhagini.
So, but
the first one I attended. Second, I don't know if it is done or not. Kannada I have attended. First class.
She must be in the Healing Emotions group, no? Otherwise, how will she receive the Zoom link? She won't receive it.
No, it is okay. Yeah, correct.
No, how could she have attended? So maybe if need be, if she is interested, you can add her to the notice board group. Where they
So how did you get the link, or did I send it to our group, the Ishavasya group?
No, you didn't send. Kalpana is there, no? BS Kalpana. She had sent. Then I joined the group, and I was supposed to come on the first this thing only, not online, virtual. But I was not given the chance to come there because it was full. It was full. So I had to attend online only.
Okay. So, but are you in the group? He again asked to fill the form, and then whoever filled the form, he gave. There are 3 batches for Canada only.
So second group, she called me actually, but I had attended the first online, no, so I didn't go there.
Oh, okay. Now each class will be different.
Very different.
Very different.
It is on the same thing, no? Same
thing, but it will be different.
Oh, I didn't know.
No,
first batch, second batch, third batch. That's what he said.
See, I have attended one Kannada class and one English class. It's totally different, and I attend even the online. It will be totally different. The first 5 batches are there. Out of 5 batches, each first class will be different. Each second class will be different.
Okay, I didn't know.
So whenever it is possible, it is better that you join that.
Okay.
So that emotional healing happens first for our progress only.
Okay.
So I think we can. We have a little left from this talk. Maybe it is 9:40. I think we will
can do next class.
Next class we will.
Even those points are very important, and whoever joins, we can all share the.
Yes. So we'll end up with the prayer. Let us close our eyes and hands. Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya om shanti 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 purnamadaha purnamidam पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ನಾನೆಂಬುದು ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಈ ದೇಹ ಮನ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಸಚಿದಾನಂದಾತ್ಮ ಶಿವ ನಾನು ನಾನೇ, ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ. ಆತ್ಮದರ್ಶನಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮದರ್ಶನಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮದರ್ಶನಂ ಸತ್ಯದರ್ಶನಂ. ಅಂತರ್ಜ್ಯೋತಿಃ ಬಹಿರ್ಜ್ಯೋತಿಃ प्रत्यक् ज्योतिः परात् परा ज्योतिरेव ज्योतिः स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम्। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। हरिः ओम् तत्सत्। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। हरि ओम् all.
Hari Om, Kanti ji.
हरि ओम्. हरि ओम् भाति।
Hari Om. Hari Om, Bhagini. Thank you very much.